Carnarvon had already obtained the exclusive permit to excavate in the Valley of the Kings. Carter began by drawing a detailed map of the valley. Most archaeologists thought he was crazy. They said there were no tombs left in the Valley of the Kings. But Carter never revealed the slightest doubt.
I suggested to Lord Carnarvon that we take as a starting point the triangle of ground defined by the tombs of Ramses II, Merimptah, and Ramses VI, the area in which we hoped the tomb of Tutankhamun might be situated. Mountains of rubbish thrown out by previous excavators encumbered the ground in all directions. Clearly, the only satisfactory thing to do was to dig systematically right down to bedrock. It was rather a desperate undertaking.
After a year of digging, 100 men moving massive amounts of rubble, all that Carter uncovered were 2 small pottery fragments. The excavations continued, unearthing nothing. Carter was sure Tutankhamun was there somewhere. But how long would Carnarvon finance excavations with no results? In 1920, Carter turned up 13 jars. It wasn't much of a find. More excavations just moved stone from one part of the desert to another. The digging had gone on for 6 years. Carnarvon summoned Carter to his office at Highclere Castle. It was the moment Carter had been dreading. The excavations were over. Once again, maybe for the last time, Carter brought out the map. The triangle Carter had originally laid out was inked in. It had all been excavated, except for one small area near the tomb of Ramses VI. Carter proposed a desperate bargain. He would personally pay for the excavation of this untouched place if Carnarvon would keep the permit to dig. Carnarvon, a sporting man, accepted Carter's offer, but insisted on paying for the work himself. When he returned to Egypt, Carter told his friends he had found a companion to share his life. Rumors spread that he was getting married, but the companion was a canary he had brought in England. His servants were sure the pet was a good omen.
Mabruk, it's a bird of gold that will bring luck. This year we will find, inshallah, a tomb full of gold.
The workers realized this was the last chance. Even the water boy, the lowest-ranking member of the team, got in on the act. He poked around with a stick and was astonished to find a limestone step buried under the sand. The news was telegraphed to Carnarvon, who left for Egypt at once. 2 days of furious digging had revealed steps leading down to a sealed doorway. The Egyptian workers called it the Tomb of the Bird.
At last have made wonderful discovery in valley, a magnificent tomb with seals intact.
2.5 weeks later, on November 26, 1922, Carter chipped a hole through the wall concealing the tomb.
I was struck dumb with amazement. And when Lord Carnarvon, unable to stand the suspense any longer, inquired anxiously, Can you see anything? It was all I could do to get out the words, yes, wonderful things. As my eyes grew accustomed to the light, details of the room within emerged slowly from the mist. Strange animals, statues, and gold. Everywhere, the glint of gold.
The discovery sparked a media frenzy. Visitors flocked to the Valley of the Kings from all over the world.
A kind of madness overtook people, and it was to a very great extent whipped up by the press. What you had there was a discovery of a kind that had never been made before. A royal tomb. A tomb of almost a child king. It was full of things made of gold. There was the possibility of a curse. There was everything there to stimulate not only the connoisseur, but also the crazy.
An abundance of gold treasure helped create Tutmania. But the world's imagination was also captivated by the story of Carter and Carnarvon's heroic persistence, as well as the touching portrait of Tutankhamun, the tomb revealed. The Golden Throne is decorated not with a scene of triumph in war, but with the 16-year-old pharaoh being lovingly caressed by his equally young wife, Ankhesenamun. On a golden shrine, Tutankhamun pours wine into his wife's hands next to an image of her, gently fastening a necklace around his neck. Carter was moved almost to tears.
These are charming scenes and full of kindliness, which it pleases us to consider modern.
Even the wall paintings surrounding the sarcophagus are simple and intimate. They show the innocent young king being welcomed to the next world. Carter had brought an ancient pharaoh to life. King Tut had become as familiar as the boy next door.
Nobody has ever found anything to match Tutankhamun, either in Egypt or anywhere in the world. It's simply the greatest archaeological discovery that's ever been made.
Clearing the tomb was a huge task that would ultimately take 10 years of Carter's life. Although he had an all-star team of archaeologists to help him, Carter labored ceaselessly.
All the pressure in the end came down to Carter. He was the director of the excavation, the excavator, the artist. He controlled everything. Carnarvon had ceased to participate in the actual work of the excavation, but he was interfering all the time, and he brought these important people to see the excavation. They interrupted, they got in the way, and Carnarvon exploited the situation in a way that Carter really no longer abide.
By 1923, the men were no longer speaking to each other. To try and reconcile, Carnarvon stopped by Castle Carter. Carter refused to let him in. Carnarvon was devastated. He wrote Carter a letter.
I've done many foolish things, and I'm very sorry. I suppose the fuss and worry have affected me. I'm a man with few friends, and whatever happens, nothing will ever alter my feelings for you. I should like to have a good talk.
A few weeks later, Carnarvon cut open a mosquito bite while shaving, and it became infected. Always in delicate health, he lapsed into delirium. Carter went to see him, but no one knows if he and Carnarvon had their talk.
April the 5th, 1923. Poor Lord C died during the early hours of the morning.
Immediately, Carnarvon's death was attributed to the curse of the Pharaoh. Carter had no time for such speculation.
All sane people should dismiss such inventions with contempt.
If there was a curse of the pharaohs, I think perhaps it was granting to Howard Carter his greatest wish, which was to discover Tutankhamun. Because once he'd found Tutankhamun, once that dream had been realized, there was nothing. There was nothing left for him.
Carter became a world celebrity, but was never able to write the academic study that would secure his place among Egyptologists. An old, sick man, he sat on the porch of a hotel in Luxor and drank alone. Occasionally, a passing tourist would join him. By early 1939, in failing health, he had left Castle Carter for the last time. On March 2nd, Howard Carter died. Only one of his colleagues came to the funeral. The inscription on his gravestone read simply, Howard Carter, archaeologist and Egyptologist. But perhaps his epitaph should have been what was written on a small wishing cup Carter discovered in Tutankhamun's tomb.
May your spirit live. May you spend millions of years, you who love thieves, sitting with your face to the north wind, your eyes beholding happiness.